My name is Sarah. Today I will tell you the story of my brother Nicholas Nickelby, a young man who faced pain, poverty, and injustice, but never lost his kindness. Our story began when our father died. Suddenly, his death changed everything for us. He had been a good man, full of hope, but his business failed and he left us with nothing. My mother and I sat together in our small room, trying to understand what would happen next. The house felt so quiet and the fire in the old fireplace was small and weak. My mother looked at me and said, "Amberlyn, what will we do now?" Before I could answer, Nicholas came in. His face looked calm, but I could see worry in his eyes. He took Mother's hands gently and said, "Don't be afraid. I will find work. I will take care of both of you." His voice was full of love and courage, and for the first time that night, I believed we would survive. Nicholas was young, only 19, but his heart was strong. He was not afraid of hard work, and he was ready to do anything to help our family. Still, we had no friends in London and very little money. Our only relative was our uncle, Mr. Ralph Nickelby, my father's brother. He was a rich man who worked in business, but I had never liked him. He never smiled with kindness. His words were cold, and his eyes looked at people the way others look at coins, only to count their value. A few days later, we went to see him. My mother wore her best black dress and I carried the small bag that held our last money. Uncle Ralph sat behind a large desk. The room smelled of papers, ink, and something sharp like fear. He did not stand up to welcome us. He only said, "Ah, you are here. So your father is gone and his business failed. I am sorry to hear that, though not." Surprised, Mother's voice shook as she said, "We have nowhere to turn, Ralph. You are our only family. Can you please help us?" He looked at Nicholas instead. "Help? What kind of help? Money?" No, young men must work. The world does not give to those who do nothing. I can find him something to do." Nicholas said politely, "I don't ask for money, only a chance to earn it." Uncle Ralph smiled, but it was not a warm smile. "Good, I know a man who runs a school in Yorkshire. He needs a teacher's assistant. The pay is small, but it will keep you alive." Mother thanked him again and again, but I felt something strange in my heart, feeling that this job was not right. Still, Nicholas agreed to go. He said it was his duty. The next morning he packed his few clothes, kissed Mother's hand, and hugged me. "Take care of her, Amberlyn," he said softly. "I will write soon." Then he walked away, and I stood by the window watching him until he disappeared. In the fog, the school where Nicholas went was called Dotha Boys' Hall, and the man who owned it was named Mr. Wackford Square. He called himself a teacher, but he was a cruel man who cared only for money. Parents who did not want their children kept at home sent them there. They paid Mr. Squeers to feed and teach the boys, but he gave them almost nothing. The school was cold, dark, and dirty. When Nicholas arrived, Mr. Squeers smiled in a false way and said, "You will find my methods strict but fair." Then he shouted at a small boy who dropped his spoon in fear. Nicholas felt his heart grow heavy. The children were thin, pale, and hungry. Their clothes were torn and their eyes were tired. It did not look like a school. It looked like a prison for children. Every morning, they ate a small bowl of something gray and cold. Then they studied for hours in a freezing room. When one boy coughed too much, Mr. Square hit him. When another asked for more food, he hit him again. Nicholas tried to speak kindly to the boys, but Mr. Squeers told him, "You are here to work, not to make friends." One boy stood out among the rest. His name was Smike. He was older than the others and very weak. His legs hurt when he walked, and he often shivered from cold. He had been at the school since he was a child, but no one came for him, and no one cared. Nicholas began to help him secretly, giving him part of his own food and helping him with his reading. Smike started to smile a little when Nicholas spoke to him. At night, Nicholas sat awake thinking about home. He missed our mother and me. He wondered how we were surviving. I wished I could tell him that we were fine, but life was hard for us too. Uncle Ralph had found us a small room to live in, but he only visited to remind Mother that she owed him thanks. I could see he didn't love his family. He only loved his power. Months passed and Nicholas grew more unhappy at the school. One winter morning, a terrible thing happened. Mr. Sk found a reason to punish Smite. He said the boy was lazy and had tried to run away. He took his stick and raised it high. "I will teach you a lesson you'll never forget," he shouted. Nicholas stepped forward. "Stop," he said. His voice was firm. Mr. Sk turned to him angry. "You dare tell me what to do in my own school?" "Yes," Nicholas answered. "Because what you are doing is cruel. He has done nothing wrong." Mr. Squed and raised the stick again, but this time Nicholas caught his arm. "Enough," he said. "You have hurt these boys long enough." Mr. Squed shouted, "You're fired. Get out of my school." Nicholas looked at the frightened boys and then at Smite. "I will go," he said quietly. "But I will not go alone." That night when everyone slept, Nicholas packed his bag. Smike waited near the door, trembling. "Please take me with you," he whispered. "I cannot stay here." Nicholas smiled kindly. "Come, my friend, we will start a new life." Together, they walked through the cold night under the stars. They had no money, no home, and no clear plan. But Nicholas was free, and Smike was safe. They walked for miles, resting only when they were too tired to continue. Nicholas shared his last piece of bread with Smike, saying, "We may be poor, but we are free now. That is something Mr. Squeers will never understand." Back in London, my mother and I waited for news. Days turned into weeks. Then one afternoon, a letter came. My hand shook as I opened it. It was from Nicholas. He wrote that he had left the school because of its cruelty and that he had met a friend named Smike. He said they were on their way to find work somewhere kinder, somewhere better. I read his words aloud to Mother. Her eyes filled with tears, but she smiled for the first time in months. "He is safe," she said softly. "Our Nicholas is safe." That night, I sat by the window and looked up at the stars. Somewhere far away, my brother was walking on a lonely road with a weak boy who now had hope. I whispered into the quiet night, "Be strong, Nicholas, be brave. We are waiting for you." And that is how his long journey truly began. Before I continue the story, please like, subscribe, and share this video. Tell me in the comments where you are listening from. Your support means so much to me. Now, let's continue. When Nicholas left that cruel school, with poor Smike by his side, his life changed forever. He had no plan, no money, and no roof over his head, but he had courage, and that was enough to keep him walking. They walked for days through the cold fields of Yorkshire. The wind was sharp and Smike was weak. Many times, Nicholas gave him his coat or carried his bag. When they reached a small village, they slept in a barn. Nicholas shared half of his bread with Smike, saying, "You need it more than I do." Smike looked at him with tears in his eyes. "No one ever cared for me before," he whispered. Nicholas smiled kindly. "You have me now, and I will not leave you." After many days of travel, they reached London. But life there was not easy either. I still remember the day I saw Nicholas again. It was raining and the streets were muddy. He came to our door looking tired but alive. I ran to him and hugged him. He smelled of rain and dust, but to me he smelled like hope. My mother cried and thanked God that he had come back. Nicholas told us everything about the boys' hall, the hunger, the beatings, the poor children who suffered under Mr. Squeers. My mother cried again when she heard it. "How can a man be so cruel to children?" she asked. Nicholas just said quietly, "There are people like him in this world, but we must fight them by being better." But peace did not last long. Our Uncle Ralph was angry when he learned that Nicholas had left the school. He said, "You are a fool. That man was my business friend. You have ruined everything." Nicholas answered calmly, If you call cruelty a business, then I am proud to have ruined it. Ralph's face turned red with anger. You will regret this, boy. You will never find work in London. And for a while, he was right. No one wanted to hire Nicholas. Uncle Ralph spoke badly about him, and doors began to close. Nicholas and Smike lived in a poor part of the city. Still, Nicholas tried to keep hope alive. He found small jobs, writing letters, helping in shops even. Teaching children, anything that brought a few coins. One afternoon, he met two kind people who changed his life. Mr. Vincent Crumble and his wife. They were actors who ran a small traveling theater. Mr. Crumble was a large man with a deep voice, and Mrs. Crumble had a kind smile and a heart full of laughter. When Nicholas met them, they were preparing for a play. Mr. Crumble said, "You look strong and smart, young man. Can you act?" Nicholas laughed. "I have never tried." The man smiled. "Then tonight you will try. Everyone acts in this life. Only some of us do it on stage." And so Nicholas became an actor. Smike joined too, though he was shy and nervous. The theater group was poor but full of warmth. They practiced every day, painted old curtains for the stage, and made costumes from old clothes. Nicholas worked hard and soon became one of the best in the group. He was happy for the first time in months. Smike too began to smile again. On stage, he forgot his pain. The people loved him, especially when he played funny characters with his soft, kind face. I remember when we received a letter from Nicholas telling us about his new life. He wrote, "We may not have much, but we have laughter, and that is worth more than money." Mother read the letter again and again. I could see she was proud. For the first time, the dark days began to feel lighter. But happiness never stayed long for us. In London, Uncle Ralph was still planning against Nicholas. He was angry that my brother had escaped his control. Ralph had his own secrets, his own dark dealings, and he saw Nicholas as a problem, someone too honest to be useful. I did not know then that Ralph's greed would soon hurt not only us, but many others. One morning, a young woman came to our small house. Her name was Madeline Bray. She looked tired, but her face was gentle and good. She said softly, "Mrs. Nickleby, your son helped someone I know. I came to thank you." We invited her in, and as we spoke, I learned that her father was ill and that they were very poor. Uncle Ralph had promised to help her, but I could see in her eyes that he was not kind to her. Later, when I told Nicholas about her, I could see something change in his face. He said, "She deserves better than anything Ralph can offer." Not long after, Nicholas decided to leave the theater and return to London for good. He wanted to find better work, something honest and stable. Mr. Crumble and his wife were sad to see him go, but they hugged him and said, "You will do great things, my boy. Don't forget us when you are famous." When Nicholas returned to London, he came home with new strength. He found work with two good men, the brothers Charles and N. Cheerable. They were old, cheerful, and full of kindness. Their business was successful, but they treated their workers like family. When Nicholas told them about Smite and his troubles, they welcomed him, too. "We have plenty of food here," Mr. Cherry Bull said with a smile. "No one should be hungry in our house." For the first time, Nicholas had honest work, a good home, and true friends. Smike helped around the office and the warehouse. He was happy there. He laughed more often, though his health was still weak. Nicholas often took him out to walk in the sun. One day he told him, "You will be strong again." Smike smiled, but he knew his body was tired. Meanwhile, Uncle Ralph was growing colder and more bitter. He still tried to control people through money and fear. He even tried to arrange a marriage between Madeline Bray and an old rich man. He wanted to make money from her unhappiness, but Nicholas found out and stopped it. He stood before Ralph and said, "You will not destroy her life for your greed." Ralph shouted, "How dare you speak to me like that? You are nothing without me." Nicholas looked him in the eye. I am everything without you because I have love and you have only hate. That night I could see the storm in Ralph's heart. He had lost his power over us and his lies were slowly breaking apart, but my brother had found his purpose, helping others, protecting the weak and standing for what was right. Nicholas and Meline grew close. They spent time together caring for Smite, visiting poor families, and helping the Cheerable brothers in their work. I could see love growing quietly between them, though neither said it aloud. Mother noticed too and smiled secretly whenever Meline came to visit, but Smike's health was getting worse. He coughed often and became weaker each day. Nicholas worried but tried to hide his fear. You must rest, he said gently, but Smike would only shake his head. I want to see you happy before I go, he whispered one evening. At that moment, I realized something deep. Smike was not just my brother's friend. He was like a younger brother to us all, a piece of light that had come from so much darkness. As days passed, the truth about Uncle Ralph's secret business began to come out. People learned how cruel and dishonest he had been. The same greed that once gave him power was now destroying him. And while his world fell apart, Nicholas's world was slowly coming together with love, honesty, and new hope. But life still had one more test waiting for him. The winter grew colder, and Smike's health began to fail quickly. He often stayed in bed, his hands thin and cold. Nicholas sat beside him, every night holding his hand, trying to smile. You will get better, my friend, he said, though his voice broke. Smike smiled faintly. If not here, he whispered. Then somewhere kinder. That was the night Nicholas learned that true love is not only between lovers, it is also between hearts that suffer together. Smike's life was fading, and with it, a part of Nicholas's heart. But even in sorrow, he stayed strong. Because that was who my brother was. Smike's life was fading, and with it, a part of Nicholas's heart. But even in sorrow, he stayed strong because that was who my brother was. As winter passed, Smite grew weaker each day. He no longer had the strength to walk outside. Nicholas often sat beside his bed, reading softly to him or holding his hand in silence. Smike smiled sometimes and said, You've been kind to me, Nicholas. You gave me more than I ever hoped for. Nicholas would answer gently, You gave me hope too, Smike. You showed me how much love can change a life. Then one cold morning, Smike closed his eyes and never opened them again. His face looked peaceful, as if he was only asleep. Nicholas sat there for a long time, holding his hand, unable to speak. Later, he buried him under a quiet tree, where the sun could touch his grave. Mother and I stood beside him, and for the first time, I saw tears fall down my brother's face. Smike had been more than a friend. He had been like a younger brother to us. All the weeks after Smike's death were dark. Nicholas stopped smiling and hardly spoke. He walked alone by the river every evening. The Cheerable brothers who cared deeply for him tried to help. He was a good soul, said Mr. Sherry kindly. He has found peace now. You must find yours too. Nicholas nodded, but I could see his pain. At the same time, Uncle Ralph's life was falling apart. His lies, his greed, and his cruel business deals were now known to everyone. People stopped trusting him. His money could no longer protect him from his guilt. One night, a message came to our house. Mr. Ralph Nickelby is very ill. Come quickly. Nicholas didn't want to go. He never cared for us, he said. Why should I care for him now? Mother looked at him quietly and said, Because kindness is not about who deserves it. It's about who needs it. So he went. When Nicholas entered his uncle's house, it was dark and cold. Ralph sat in a chair, his face gray and weak. His hands shook as he tried to speak. You, he said, looking at Nicholas. You've come to see me die. Nicholas spoke softly. I came because I couldn't let you die alone. Ralph looked away, his eyes full of fear. I wanted power, he whispered. I thought money would make me strong, but now I have nothing. I see faces when I close my eyes, the people I hurt. They never leave me, Nicholas said quietly. You could have chosen love instead of greed. Ralph's lips trembled. Love, he said bitterly, I lost that long ago. My own son, he stopped, his breath shaking. Nicholas looked at him confused. Your son. Ralph covered his face with his hands. Yes. He was born many years ago. I left him in a poor home because I was ashamed. I told myself it was for the best. But I never forgot. His voice broke. He died not long ago, didn't he? His name was Smike. Nicholas froze. The truth hit him like a storm. Smike, the gentle, broken boy who had loved him like a brother, had been Ralph's own child. Ralph cried quietly. He was my son, and I never told him. I never said I was sorry. Nicholas felt tears in his eyes. He could not hate him now. Then may you find peace with him, uncle, he said softly. Ralph looked up once more, but his eyes were empty. He took one last breath and was gone. When Nicholas came home, his face was pale but calm. He told us everything. Mother wept. How strange life is, she said. The man who hurt so many was father to the boy who showed us kindness. Nicholas only whispered, the world is cruel, but love can still grow in cruel places. After that day, life began to move. Again, the shareable Bull brothers offered Nicholas a full position in their business. You've got a good head and a good heart, Mr. Sherry said warmly. Work with us and you'll do great things. Nicholas accepted. He wanted to build a future that was honest and good. Meline Bray, the young woman who had once suffered under Ralph's cruel plans, still visited us often. She cared for her sick father and worked quietly to earn a living, but Nicholas and she had grown close. I saw the way they looked at each other, though neither spoke of it. One day after her father passed away, Nicholas went to see her. They stood together in the garden. The air was soft and the sun touched the leaves. Nicholas took her hand gently and said, Meline, I have lost many things in life, but I have also learned that love is the only treasure worth keeping. Will you share your life with me? Her eyes filled with tears, but she smiled. Yes, Nicholas. You have a kind heart. Wherever you are, that is home for me. They married quietly, with only close friends and family present. There were no rich clothes, no grand speeches, just peace, laughter, and the warmth of love. Mother cried softly, but they were tears of joy. When they left for their small home in the countryside, she said, You've made our lives bright again. Their new life was simple and beautiful. Nicholas worked with the shareable Bull brothers, and Meline cared for their home. They often visited us, bringing joy and calm wherever they went. Sometimes I would see them walking together by the river, their hands joined, their faces calm. Years passed. The pain of the past began to fade like an old shadow. Nicholas and Meline had 2 children, boy and a girl. They were full of laughter and light. Mother became old, but she was happy. She often said, I will die in peace, knowing my son found goodness in this world. One evening, we all sat by the fire. The children were asleep, and the room was warm. Nicholas looked at us and said quietly, Do you remember how dark it once was? How lost we felt? I smiled. Yes, I remember. He continued softly. We had nothing then, no home, no money, no comfort, but we had each other, and that was enough to carry us through everything. Meline touched his hand and said, And because of that, we have all this now. Nicholas looked into the fire and said, Kindness always returns to those who give it, sometimes not quickly, but always surely. That night I wrote these words in my journal so I would never forget. Now, many years later, I still think of Smike, his gentle smile, his quiet voice, the way he looked at my brother as if he were the whole world. I like to believe that somewhere beyond the clouds, he is smiling still, proud of the man Nicholas became. Our lives were full of struggle and loss, but also of love and peace. Nicholas's story taught me that no pain lasts forever if the heart stays good. And so, the story of my brother comes to an end. A man who began with nothing but courage, who faced pain and cruelty, but who never stopped believing in kindness. He was not a hero in shining clothes. He was simply a good man in a hard world. And sometimes that is enough to change everything.